Good morning, everybody. This is episode 76 of the 476ers podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about yesterday's Trailblazers Trash Fest. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Edge of Darkness, where Mel Gibson is somewhere trying to save somebody while also saying extremely anti-Semitical things. And, where all of the bad things happen. Where perfect storms, where George Clooney is fighting off a perfect storm of Joel possibly getting injured, of Ben missing, of Seth, being concussed, even though he seemed to be concussed prior to that concussion, which I am assuming is a concussion. I have no idea if it's a concussion. I think it is, even though Mark Zumoff had no clue. Mark Zumoff seemed to think in the second half that Seth's body may have been, that they Jimmy Hoffa'd him. That there was some sort of conspiracy, some major conspiracy about what had happened to Seth Curry. Almost like he was, reading the title of the Benjamin, the Curious Case of Seth Curry. What are you talking about? He had gotten concussed by one of Carmelo's jab steps. Carmelo set a screen jab, stepped a couple times, and concussed Seth out of the game. That was obvious. I thought that was clear. It's bad when Allah has to correct you. That's not good, Mark. What is up with you? What's up with you, Mark? Are you all right? What have you done with Mark? Huh? Anyway. Not a lot to actually take from yesterday. I'm going to be honest with you. Not a whole lot to glean in terms of, what we had, right? Maybe that's a lie. There probably is just a ton. There's a ton. Where do we start? Okay, so obviously, we get blown out. That's not good. You don't want to get blown out by the Trailblazers without Dame. But in the spirit of us wanting to give up season highs and career highs, we went ahead and gave up a season high to Carmelo yesterday. I'm pretty certain. I think that was a season high this year, 22. Probably a season high for Enos. I think Gary scored 30-something the other day. I don't know. Just, it just seemed like, even if it wasn't a season high in points, it was certainly a season high in the best that some of these guys have ever looked. And part of what happened, I think, yesterday was, when Joe came out in the first quarter, obviously there was that moment where he hurts his knee. I think that was terrifying, obviously. Maybe that shook some of the team. I don't know. Hard to tell, I don't think any team or any teammate or any player would ever admit to saying something like, oh, Joe left and we got scared and we didn't think we could win. Like, no one's who's ever going to admit that. But, is there a subconscious thing where somebody gets hurt, your best player gets hurt, and now you're thinking, oh, fuck, shit, we just lost our guy. There's no Ben. But no one would ever think that about Ben. No one's sitting here thinking, oh, we don't have any Ben. We've lost our best guy. No one's thinking that. So I think when Joe got hurt, I think that gave the Blazers a great deal of confidence. I mean, well, one, now our defense is shit again. Once Joe's out, our defense falls apart. You know what I mean? Even when Ben in, our defense falls apart when Joe's out. But now you also don't have Ben, and therefore arguably our best perimeter, not arguably, really, it's our best perimeter defender is now out. So I think that ended up really inspiring this team. Kind of. I can't even know if I can say that, because what the fuck happened in the third quarter? I don't even understand what happened in the third quarter. I don't even understand exactly what happened in the third quarter. Maybe too much shake, a little bit too much shake. Shake and Furkan were passing the green light back and forth yesterday. Shake is, I don't even know what to say about Shake, honestly. Furkan, oh, man. Anyway, really the only thing to glean from yesterday, let's be clear. There's only one thing really to take from yesterday's game. Yesterday's game is the argument for Ben. Yesterday's game is the argument for why you don't trade Ben. because there is a thing that I don't think, when James Harden is going, right, like on those Rockets teams, he ends up with a ton of assists, sure. But I mean, he's handling the ball at such the usage rate of his usage rate is through the roof. So he's commanding a lot of attention generally because he is the entire offense, like, 60% of the time. It's not 60% of the time. His usage rate, I think, was like 38 or 37. So, he's commanding the offense he's commanding the lion's share of the offense so much of the time that I think ends up giving a lot of guys open looks. Gives the guys, a ton of open looks to get three-pointers up. But with Ben, what happens is, and some of this is, obviously what frustrates us when he won't finish, he won't take it to the lane. I mean, he won't take it to the rim, but because he's driving to the rim so often, or because he's driving generally so often, he's commanding the attention of other guys. And if we're spacing the floor with shooters who are moving a little bit off the ball, Ben is always almost. The one thing to give about Ben, it drives me crazy when he's just stepping, he's looking around, and he makes these passes. Every pass is a no-look, though. He looks off every defender and always makes what looks to be the right pass. And those guys, I mean, 2K sucks and it's trash, and I hate bringing 2K into real-life shit because fuck that. But one thing they do have right is the concept of dimer, which is, an attribute given to point guards that increases the likelihood of a player hitting a good shot, whether the ball is always in the shooting pocket, they just know where these guys want the ball, or just whatever it is that infuses that ball with that energy, that shot is good, and Ben brings that, and I don't necessarily think that like a Bradley Beal brings that necessarily. I think James Harden does bring that to an extent. You can't really rely on it, obviously, because then, you end up having a 0 for 26 stretch, in the conference finals. But the point being that, and then there are those times where Ben, especially over the last few weeks, has been, kind of demanding his own bucket. Like, I'm going to go get this basket real quick. I'm going to go finish at the rim. When with Enes Kanter in the game, that is really what you're hoping for. Ennis is not a stopper by any means. Now, Ennis plays us well. Ennis is something else. Let me tell you, Ennis is something real else. He really is something else. He is trash against 29 of 30 NBA teams. He is trash. And then as soon as he plays Joel Embiid, he is just raising his roof. If you could hypnotize Ennis to play Joel Embiid every night, he's a 20-20. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wild how good he is when he's about to play Joe. Other guys shrivel up. And it's, it makes it, you look at Ennis's history, he's out there fighting the Turkish government, which is filled with a bunch of assholes and a fucking a dictator. And, he's rising up to those occasions. But, against the smaller occasions, he's not going to really step up. But there's Joe across from him. Here's Ennis grabbing all the rebounds. This also goes back to what I said about Joe. Now, some of what happened yesterday, as far as Joe's rebounding, I think, too, is because of the injury. You know what I mean? I think that when you hyperextend the knee, what actually happens after that is, a complete loss in confidence and stability in your knee. It may be fine. It may not have any long-term structural damage, but you don't necessarily trust it that much. So you're not necessarily going to jump for rebounds. You're going to give second thoughts jumping in traffic for rebounds, right? And I think that's part of it. But generally, and it's always out rebounds Joe every time they play. And, that's one thing they did. They focused on rebounding. We losing Ben. That's another piece, another argument for Ben. We're losing our second best rebounder when we lose Ben. You know what I mean? Arguably our best rebounder at times. Just he grabs a ton of rebounds in traffic sometimes. So you're losing one of your best rebounds. They out-rebounded us a ton yesterday. A lot of effort plays. Now, the other piece of it here is we're coming off a back-to-back, right? Obviously, we're coming off a back-to-back, traveling from Charlotte home. So, it's a perfect storm of shit, in my opinion. This is a perfect storm of shit to go wrong. It's kind of what happens. You're traveling off a back-to-back. You're traveling home. Get that good home cooking. You probably know how good you are of a home team. You got the Blazers coming in who are struggling. They don't have their two best players. They don't have three of their five best or maybe their top three best players, arguably, depending where you have Nurkic at. in ranking of the team, right? And you're probably maybe smelling your own shit a little bit. You know what I mean? And you lay an egg now. So then on top of that, Ben, again, we're losing the creation. I mean, look at these 3-point numbers here. We finished 7 for 27. That is obscene. At home, especially, we have been dominant at home. We have been an incredibly efficient 3-point shooting team at home as well. You know what I mean? So to go 7 for 27 at home is wild. But, Ben is a huge, huge part of getting those assists, getting those 3-point assists. I mean, we know he's routinely at the top of creating the most 3-pointers in the league. They just routinely. It's like him, Giannis, James Harden, something like that. It's always those three guys kind of combating. Ben is usually near the top. That is what it is. And on top of that, but then on the other side, now I am not of the belief that Toby is an all-star. I know it's a feel-good, like, Toby's the all-star. Hey, he's an all-star. Sure. Yeah, fuck it. Let's vote him in. Philly. You know what I mean? Philly. Word up. Let's vote him in. But does he deserve it? No. No. There are other front court players that are better than Toby. And I've gone through this exercise, and I've named a number of guys who I think probably deserve to have the all-star bid in front of Toby. I'm sorry to say. And yesterday is the type of game where that is proven right. Nowhere in the annals of NBA history has it ever been written that Carmelo Anthony is an elite defender. Nowhere. And in fact, in the annals of history, it's been written quite the opposite, that he is an elite non-defender. He is elite at not defending. He is James Harden prior to James Harden. Elite scorer, doesn't play defense. And my man locked up Toby with the old head defense on his ass. Old head defense. Why? Well, because Toby isn't, again, I'm sorry. I don't mean to spoil all the goodwill that Toby has gotten. Toby's been playing great this year. But just like I said about Ben in previous podcasts, I don't think Ben is an all-star either. Just like I said in previous podcasts about Ben, like I said the other day, I gave the perfect allegory, and yesterday proves the allegory to a T, right? I said Ben is a car engine. You put the parts around him, he'll give you the strongest car on the road, and the beauty of the car is completely dependent on the parts that you've put around him. A guy like Joe is his own vehicle, right? Well, what happens when you remove the engine from the car? Well, now all you have is a bunch of car parts and no engine. And that's what happened yesterday. The car, Joel, is going. No question, he's going. He's just going. Yep, boop, boop, 31 in the first, or 30 in the first quarter. 31 in the first half. Joe, you need to finish with 50. No, I'm going to get to you in a second. 31 in the first half, that's easy. That's light. That's light. But guys like Toby, guys like Danny, guys like Seth, right? I mean, we know that about Danny and Seth largely, even though Seth had been showing an ability to be somewhat of an isolation player here and there at parts or earlier the year. Now he is, Seth just needs time or, whatever. The COVID thing has fucked him up, and now he looked like to be a concussion yesterday, and that fucked him up. And I don't know what to say about Seth. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Seth. I hope he's okay. Furkan, all of these guys, Shake, all of these guys on this team, there's no one here who can really truly break down the defense. Shake is our best chance at that. Shake and Tyrese are our best chances on the second unit for sure. Shake is just, but Shake doesn't spread the floor out all right now, and Shake sometimes dials up his. As soon as he comes out in the third quarter, he was doing too much. Doing too much, taking a ball, inbound the ball to Shake. Shake takes it and tries to score. What are you doing, Shake? You aren't that. You're good, Shake. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but you're not that. You're not James or Kyrie. I don't want to see that. Not from you. I'm sorry, not from you. We don't have Ben. They're playing us tough. Toby, Joe, it's time for you to assert yourself. Now, Toby can assert himself. Why? Because just like I said about Ben, Toby is dependent on the same shit. Toby's dependent on the same shit. What these guys were missing yesterday is the attention that Ben commands when he's driving in the lane, even though everybody knows he's about to pass this motherfucker. Right, all that attention when Toby's guy turns his eyes to look at Ben and maybe even reaches or whatever, Toby catches, has his space either rise up and shoot, or Toby catches it, is already in a triple threat position, and his defender is now off balance, and Toby is able to take him off the dribble because that guy is off balance. But Toby, as an isolation player, doesn't stand a chance. It's not his skill set. Just not his skill set. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, he's getting technical fouls after he straight up stiff-armed. I thought, who was that? Was it Gary Trent that he stiff-armed on that drive? I can't remember. Poor Gary Trent. Caught the stiff arm, caught the Marshawn stiff arm. What was that? Toby, that was a foul, bro. It just is a foul. You know what I mean? You didn't do anything but foul him. What were you looking for from the ref? Did you want to foul before you fouled him, maybe? I don't know. The only foul I see being called is your offensive talent yesterday. That was foul. Had a foul smell to it. Reeked. You reeked more than Game of Thrones. The boy from Game of Thrones. Reeked more than him. In the dog kennel. Tortured. Banned, cut off, and discarded. Sent to his family. Again, Toby is not an all-star. All right, that's all I'm saying. Toby's not an all-star. There are better players than him. There are better front court players than him. Off the top of my head, let me see if I can do this off the top of my head. I don't know what is Jaylen Brown to you? Jaylen was playing the 3, so if he is coming in as a forward, there's 2 right there on the Celtics, Jason, Jaylen. There's Kevin Durant. There's fucking Giannis. There's Domantas Sabonis, who deserves to be a center. That's 5 forwards right there. Just easily. I didn't even have to think. You know what I mean? That's 5 of them without thinking. There's an argument for Julius Randle, who is beating Toby in the voting. I mean, Julius is having a crazy year. You know what I mean? But if you want to make the argument that Toby's on a winning team, sure, fine, whatever, I guess. I guess you can make that argument. There's an argument for Gordon Hayward, who's averaging 25, 5, and 5. As having a great year. You're going to tell me that Toby's better than Gordon Hayward? I don't buy that. So I don't really buy that personally. You know what I mean? I don't. And in fact, the argument for Gordon is that the Hornets are not really a good team, and because Gordon is on that team, they're a little bit better. You know what I mean? They are that much better where they make things competitive sometimes. Because Devontae was trash early on in the year. Their second scorer, their leading scorer last year, didn't show up for the first month of the season, but Gordon was going off that entire time, scoring 40. Toby can't score 40 points. He ain't the only 40 Toby's ever going to see is an Old English, is a Steel Reserve. You know what I mean? That's the only time we're going to see the 40 from him if he pouring it out. Anyway, I'm sorry. So what other forwards are there? I don't know. There's others I just can't think of right now off the top of my head. But right off the bat, you know what I mean? I just named 5 definites, 2 maybes. You know what I mean? Two maybes with argument. 2 maybes with an argument. You know what I mean? Do those guys deserve to be better, in front of Toby? I would argue yes. I would argue yes. Julius is an entire offense onto himself. You know what I mean? The entire Knicks offense, they're not particularly good. They're competitive, but the entire Knicks offense is completely based on Julius Randle right now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think he's a quote unquote I'm sorry, front court players. My fault. Joe. Jesus Christ, I missed Joe. That's 6. Easy. 6 front court players, because that's how it is, right? It's back court and front court. So that's 6 right there. And the problem is that now if you run through the guards, I guess there could be a shot because with guards, Bradley Beal deserves to be an all-star. I know that team is trash, but he doesn't deserve. He's averaging 35 a game. He's not going to be an all-star. That's crazy. Kyrie is going to be an all-star, no question. James Harden is going to be an all-star, no question. I think Malcolm Brogdon should probably be an all-star. He's, the best player on one of the better, second best player, arguably, behind Domantas on that team. You know what I mean? Is Trae Young going to be an all-star? Probably. He deserves it. He's averaging, I think he's averaging like a 25-9 or 25-8, something like that. He deserves it. You know what I mean? Does Russ stat-wise deserves it. You know, he's not going to make it more than likely, but statistically, he deserves it. But no way the NBA is going to put two guys from a losing team, and that is probably correct, honestly. You know, I don't know what other guards are there. I mean, there's others too. I just, you know, I'm just not going to probably think about right now. Off the top of my head, let me look. Let me see. You know what I mean? You know, look. Here's the deal. If you're trying to reward our team because we're the best team in the East, fine. You know what I mean? Fine. Oh, Kyle Lowry deserves it. You know what I mean? There's an argument for Fred VanVleet, who just scored 50 the other day. Toby scoring 50? Are you high? Toby has never touched 50 of anything in his life. If you paid Toby $50, it would automatically convert to 49 or 51. It will never be 50. Actually, no, that's a lie. It's automatically going to convert to 49.99. It will never be 50. It will just never, ever, 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 ever reach 50. It will have to be done in 2 installments, 49 and then 1. That is it. That's the only way you're going to be able to pay Toby $50 of anything. It's never gonna happen. It's just never gonna happen. 50. Never. No. Never 50. That's killing me. I just can't think of all the guys. Anyway, I don't think Toby's an all-star is my point. I don't think he's an all-star. I don't necessarily think Ben is an all-star. You know what I mean? But I think there's more of an argument for Ben than there is for Toby. And that game yesterday is exactly that argument. If you replace Toby yesterday with Ben and you know, keep the same starting lineup, then we're better. We're better off. Without a question, we're better off. Better defender. We're just better off. Toby's playing really, really well this year. Let me not hate on Toby. His defense, I think, his defense has took a step. I thought there was a couple times the other night against Gordon Hayward where he was isolated that he defended really well. But no, you know, I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Yeah, you know, that's the argument for Ben. Yesterday's game was the argument for Ben. You know, now to me, that's a hiccup. Games like that happen to every single team. I've seen the Spurs in their prime get blown out in weird situations. There has been very few truly great teams that don't slip up. Those things are going to happen. You're going to slip up. You know what I mean? And that's what yesterday to me was a slip up. I think it was a blip on the radar. I don't think it's at all exposing a trend or some issue anywhere. But I do think it highlights probably how important Ben can be at times, even though Ben we deserve to be critical of Ben, for sure. I don't take back any times I've been critical of him. He frustrates the shit out of me. Sometimes comes out with no urgency, and it's confusing, you know, but then there are times where, again, one thing that I did point out a few weeks ago that is mad underrated about Ben is how confident you can feel with him bringing the ball up. You feel confident. You feel very confident about him bringing the ball up. You know there's going to be no issues. There are things about the offense that become an afterthought when Ben has the ball. You know what I mean? There's like things that become an afterthought when Ben has the ball. Whereas when Shake has the ball, Shake's bringing up the ball, you're kind of like, is Shake is Shake about to hero ball this shit? And yes, he is. You know, so Toby, is Toby gonna yep, hero ball. You know what I mean? Danny, he's gonna launch this shit, and it's out of bounds. You know what I mean? So Joe, I feel good about bringing up the ball too. It's specifically in the guts of the game because then he gets uber careful. Early on, he starts getting a little shaky sometimes. But you know, it's whatever. Joe, I'll never really be critical of you, honestly. You're one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that second quarter yesterday was just wild. That it was a ride. You know what I mean? That was incredible to watch. Like, that was just, this dude is amazing. He is the best mid-range shooter in the NBA right now, arguably. You know what I mean? I don't even know if it's arguable, to be honest. That man's mid-range jump shot is the wettest thing I've ever seen. It's WAP. You know what I mean? I won't say the words to say it's WAP though. Somewhere, Nicki Minaj and Meg Thee Stallion It's not Nicki Minaj. I'm sorry, Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B are dancing. They're twerking every time Joe shoots. You know what I mean? There is a twerk fest out there every time Joe lets it go. But with that said, Joe, I'm gonna need you to give me 50 if you're gonna give me 31 in the first half, 25 in a quarter. Come out and give me 50, brother. That's all I'm gonna say. Give me 50, and please give me 12 rebounds a game. I need 12 rebounds. I need 12. I need 12. Joe, I need 12, bro. I love you to death. You're the greatest. I love you to death. I'm gonna need you to exercise this Anis Cantor demon thing. This Anis Cantor thing, which is funny. This reminds me of Shaq. Anytime you ask Shaq who was the guy he had problems with, he always points out Big Country. It's always Big Country. He never points out Hakeem, Patrick, David Robinson, Tim Duncan. He don't point out none of them guys. Who do you have problems with? Who do you have problems with the most? It's Big fucking Country. And that is Anis Cantor to Joel. Anis is the Big Country to Joel Shaq. You know, just confusing. Tomorrow we play the Nets. Tomorrow night we play the Nets. That's going to be a tough game, man. They're coming here. Hopefully Joe is healthy. You know, Joe is, you know, is prone to getting injured in the game, finishing the game, and then being injured the next day. So hopefully he's healthy. And hopefully Ben's back. Hopefully we can go in full power. I think that we might lose that game even if we're fully healthy. And my argument for that is going to be that a lot of these, Joe and Ben and Toby, I don't think have been in enough games like tomorrow. I mean, we had the Lakers game, you know, last week, but AD is not KD. You know, AD ain't KD and Kyrie, you know what I mean? And the thing is in my experience watching Kyrie and KD, when these guys go into a big regular season game, it's a situation where they're about to go off. You know what I mean? It's a situation, they recognize the largeness, the scale of the game they're about to play, and they usually go off during that game. You know what I mean? And I kind of expect that to happen. You know, I expect that to happen a little bit. You know, and Joe's gonna go off, I think, but I don't know if Toby's gonna press. Listen, Toby can't score on KD. If they at any point put KD on Toby, Toby's gonna be locked the fuck up unless Ben is playing. You know what I mean? KD. I saw somebody yesterday. I tweeted I mean on Insta. I didn't tweet shit on Instagram. You know, Bleacher Report, which is routinely garbage, put up a post about Zion quietly dominating. And I replied to that post like, can you be dominating if you don't play defense? Are you a dominant player if you don't play defense? Is that a thing? And somebody replied to me and said, I mean, who is playing defense? And you just can't be watching basketball. I understand that scoring is up in the NBA, but for you to say something like that means that you just don't understand individual players. Or so. I don't want to say that. I don't want to take it because I don't know this person, right? This is just a social media, whatever. I mean, you know, everyone on social media is so much about the one-liner, the one-line argument. I'm going to hit you with this headline to win an argument. So I'm going to contradict you with one sentence. You can't. Statistically and theoretically and relative, you cannot do that because the point is Zion getting pulled is crazy to me. Is it the right move? I don't know. Probably in terms of coaching, I don't know. But my man hasn't played defense all year. He ain't sniffed the he might as well not even come up the court on defense. For real, for real. Play offense and stay here. You'll save yourself the time. Save yourself the mileage on your knees because you're not playing defense. KD is dominant. KD has been dominant on both sides of the ball. Joel Embiid has been dominant on both sides. Joel's defense, it's like you can't even imagine. You can't even imagine. And I would say through the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the season, Joel was quietly dominating because they weren't talking about the Sixers at that point yet. They're starting to talk more about them, but Joe has been dominating both sides of the ball all year. KD has been dominating both sides of the ball. Giannis has been dominating. Well, even though Giannis is a little bit down, but he's still a far better defender than Zion. I don't know what quietly dominating means. Maybe that's my problem. I don't understand what quietly dominating means when you're on a trash team that is constantly losing and or getting blown out. And yeah, you're scoring highly effective, highly efficient, uber efficient when it comes to scoring. Trash when it comes to defense. So how could you be quietly dominating? I don't know. I don't know. Bleacher Report, you could just say, yo, Zion is having an uber efficient offensive season. But everything is it's just clickbait, quietly dominating. So to piss people off like me to interact with that post, and that way at the end of the month when they show their statistics to their stockholders or whomever, and they say, look at our post engagement, you see assholes like me angry because your posts don't make no fucking sense. Jaylen Brown has been quietly dominating on both sides of the ball. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, so the point being, I don't know if we're going to win tomorrow. We can win though. We can win. I'm not saying I don't know if we're going to win tomorrow as a referendum on yesterday's game because of what happened. I'm saying I don't know if we're going to win tomorrow because I expect KD and Kyrie to come for blood. And if we're having any issues in terms of health, if everyone's not healthy, that's going to be rough. If everyone's healthy, I think it's still going to be rough, but we can 100% win. Don't get me wrong. I think we can 1,000,000% beat this Nets team, but are we going to be prepared to confront a healthy KD playing the way he's playing and Kyrie playing the way he's playing and James Harden initiating their offense the way he's been doing it? Are we going to be able to prepare to do that? Listen, Toby can't score on James Harden because Toby always tries to overpower people. James Harden is like that thing. You ever seen a sign post get knocked down? Like a stop sign gets knocked down, and there's that little piece of metal that sticks out of the ground, and you could kick that motherfucker. You could take a bat to it. You could take a sledgehammer to it. That fucking thing is not going to move. That is James Harden's post defense. That's his post defense. And that's also his perimeter defense, honestly. Post defense, just walk around it. You go around it. You know what I mean? But you're not going to go through it. So, yeah, that's it, everyone. You know the drill. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Clean your face. Clean your hands. But cover your stupid face because I hate it. Black Lives Matter. Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Justice for the blind. Just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind. Used to come